organizations responsible for today. So we're here today, first and foremost, because it's a basic needs drive, because our neighbors are not being served appropriately by the city. That we have a housing shortage, we have so much food insecurity in this city. Our social service department is so underfunded, and the mayor and city council are constantly going on our schools and our library. And we're not going to stand for that anymore, right? That's right. So we're here today because the first $14 million in the city's federal ARPA funds were budgeted by the mayor last week and passed for the first time by the city council on Monday. And they included nothing of what the city who filled out the survey, our neighbors, our community members who filled out the survey this summer, demanded housing and health. And there's nothing about that in the city's first $4 million budgeted ARPA fund. How do we feel about it? That's right. That's right. That is notable. So we're here today in the first of what will unfortunately probably have to be many protests to demand that the city rethink that and budget money for housing and health as priorities, because those are the biggest crises Woonsocket folks are facing right now. So that's right. That's right. So without further ado, I'd first like to introduce Marlene Guy, who is another board member at Woonsocket, and she has a few words she'd like to say.
I want to first and foremost thank everybody for braving this weather and coming out and, quite frankly, tolerating some of the challenges that have been put before us just to be able to use our First Amendment right to be able to argue and of our members of our community. Thank you all. So I am Marlene Guy. I do a lot of work in the city and outside of the city. And on a statewide level, we're constantly having conversations about how small nonprofits have been forced to fill the gaps that have been allowed to keep on persisting with a lack of action from our elected officials. Our elected officials have allowed our nonprofits and individuals to have to make sure that all of our neighbors are taken care of because it's not a priority of our city. Our city government this week acknowledged where their priorities are. That is a fake ice skating rink. That is ergonomic chairs. This is not set up for the average person in the city to live in. We are struggling, and that demand was made very clear this summer as all of the residents filled out their surveys, even though they were not aware that they were even supposed to. That took, again, grassroots, nonprofits, and individuals to encourage people to, again, exercise their rights to be able to demand action for the people that are using the services. We need help. We cannot keep this up. Our programs are struggling. Our people are fatigued, and our community is detrimentally being impacted every day by the lack of action of our public officials. It is time that we hold them accountable and demand that every single person in this community is valued, respected, and cared for. Also, the ARPA dollars were designed for was designed to help the average person. This is to help people, not move political, not to be spent where they willy-nilly want to use it. I keep on calling political officials baby dragons. They got this money and they're using it as whores. They are sitting on a pile of gold while the average person is struggling day to day, and some of our neighbors are struggling even worse. And we cannot sit back and let them hoard the money that is our tax dollars and let our neighbors go and suffer. We need to demand better.
Thank you so much, Marlene. Can I get another round of applause for Marlene? Absolutely. So next up, we have a member of our community, Isabel Colson, who would like to say a couple of words.
Hi, my name is Hi, my name is Isabel Toast, and I live here 50 years. And it's not right how they take we get a check for 11.50 or 8.10 a month from SSI on the first of the month. The landlord wants 8.50 or 7.50. How people supposed to pay their light, get clothes? If there was in Maria at Boulay Phil on Sunday, I wouldn't have no clean clothes. I want to just speak out loud. The real deal is the real deal. And I'm not going to be ashamed. I have to go there every week. I go to Safe Haven, wherever it gets so, then turn it back to the street. So they need to do something. Right is right. Wrong is wrong. I'm going to be homeless on the 3rd of December because the landlord don't want to do nothing. So they want $7.50 on my check every month. I'm not even going to all my doctor's appointments because all this stuff, and I don't know what else to do, so I'm trying to do the best I can. And I hope somebody break down in something, because it's not right. So thank you for everything. Amen. No, thank you.
Thank you so much, Isabel. So if we could do a quick chant right now. So when I say housing, you say a human right. Everybody got it? Yeah. All right. What is housing? What is housing? What is housing? What is housing? Say it to Mayor Lisa Montgomery Hunt. What is housing? That's fucking right. All right. So next up, I'd like to introduce my friend Alice Ellis. Alice is an activist in the city, and she'd like to say a few words. I would like to start off by thanking everyone who could make it to this rally, and to reiterate that if you find yourself in need, we have basic needs drive right here for public. For those of you who don't know, my name is Alice Ellis. I'm 22 years old. I'm a transgender woman, and I've lived in Woonsocket for decades. When my family first arrived here, we were unhoused and navigating the shelter system. We didn't come here by choice, but this came to be the community that we will be called home for the next 10 years. We got help from CCA and the local youth center to rent the Section 8 apartment that we currently live in all the way back in early 2013. And it's often been difficult, but we're thankful for the assistance that we received. I've lived here, gone to school with my sister here, and been fighting to make this a better place for everyone for a whole decade. So it saddens and enrages me to see our mayor and municipal government waste federal money with utter disregard for the most vulnerable members of our community. Yep. The trauma of poverty and homelessness has negatively affected my mental health to the point that I often feel less deserving of opportunities or praise than my peers. I struggle with chronic pain and a plethora of mental illnesses. Every day, the biggest fear I have is losing my home and family. That's just one way that the trauma can manifest from homelessness and extreme poverty. It is a cost we often pay with our lives. Countless unhoused people lose their lives to exposure each year. They are the first to feel the pain of our rapidly deteriorating climate and a social and economic system that has been pushing the same bullshit neoliberal Reaganite doctrine for 50 years now. Moral failing that our so-called mayor would take COVID relief money and blow it on an ice skating rink, ornamental streetlights, and blight reduction. The only blight I see around this city is the political establishment. Our city can never be whole as long as another person has to couch surf in their car, on a park bench, or on the cold pavement while the freezing winter temperatures ravage their bodies and threaten their lives. We cannot be whole as long as a child has to wonder where the next meal will come from, or if their family will be able to pay rent this month. We cannot be whole while people in the city are dying from drug overdoses, suicide, and violence. All these issues are exacerbated by a lack of affordable housing and community programs in our city. So I'm going to ask the mayor and her gaggle of sycophants at City Hall, where is our affordable housing? Where is our human services money?
Why do you want us to freeze? Woo! And I want y'all to keep shouting at the top of your lungs. I want the people to never forget how their government is failing them. I want you to organize. I want you to vote these ghouls out. And I want you to provide for your neighbor when they can't provide for themselves. We need the establishment to fear us. We need to make the situation so untenable that they can't do anything but give us what we want. I will come out here every damn week if I have to, until I see substantial money going to affordable housing and human services for our people. When I say, what do we want? You say housing. What do we want? Housing! What do we want? Housing! What do we want? Housing! Thank you. That's what I like to hear. Now let's make this happen.
Can I hear another round of applause for Alan, everybody? Awesome. So next up, we have one of my good friends, another member of the Rebuild Board and an incredible activist in our community, Wanda Ofokansi.
Can you all hear me? I know I'm kind of quiet, so I'll do my best to compete with the noise. But good afternoon, everybody. My name is Wanda Ofokansi, and I'm a local community member here in Woonsocket, as well as a member of Rebuild Woonsocket and the Watch Coalition. I'm here today because I'm scared. I'm concerned that my neighbors, my friends, my students are going to freeze to death. I'm concerned that they're being left outside and not being prioritized as people who are in need in the city of Woonsocket. I will be honest and recognize that I'm not opposed to the idea of a rehabilitated skating rink. I think recreation is important, but I also recognize that we are in an emergency now. We've been in an emergency before the pandemic started, and we know that COVID exacerbated and made all these conditions even worse. So right now, at the end of November, where it's getting cold, as you can see, I'm bundled up. I got my coat and my gloves on because I'm already cold. People are going to freeze. So it's an emergency situation to make us have access to safe and secure affordable housing, to make sure that we have access to more emergency housing and shelter beds. And we know that right now we are running out of resources. So it's confusing to me why we wouldn't prioritize housing in the midst of winter, in the middle of a pandemic, and rather would prioritize a new desk for the city councilors. I tried to hear the justification for that, and I understand that it's the intention is so that the city councilors can be able to see each other while they're talking. And that sounds really important, but more concerned about my neighbors freezing outside. I work in youth programming. And I've seen firsthand how it affects our students. We know that we're also struggling with our student achievement in school, and I can see how all of these issues intersect, how they all connect. I've had kids who come without food, and we have to bring backpacks of meals and dinner to send home with them and help their families get groceries. We've seen families who are not eligible for rent relief, who are not eligible for SNAP, who are not eligible for other forms of assistance that they deserve, and are on the brink of losing everything. And we've had families who have already lost it all, and I'm scared that things are going to get worse this winter, and that I'm going to have some of my students, my neighbors, and my families outside without access to resources. So what I would suggest is that we allocate ARPA funding first based on the priorities, the most immediate needs of our city, which were revealed in that survey that was put out there. Folks want housing. Folks want these kinds of services we need, and we recognize that it's an emergency, and so it should be a priority for everyone in the city to make sure that we take care of housing first. You cannot enjoy the rest of the benefits of life. You cannot enjoy a skating rink. You cannot enjoy anything else if you are unhoused. That is a pressing and immediate priority, and we need to spend money for that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Wanda. Next up, I'd like to introduce Dr. Paul and Brandy, who are frontline healthcare workers here in Woonsocket.
As Alex said, my name is Dr. Paul, and this is
Brandy.
and we are frontline health workers, and we're here because as health workers, we took an oath that we would advocate and protect and serve our patients. And what we have seen is an all-out emergency. This is nothing like anything I've ever seen before anywhere else I've worked. Every time, every week, I'm meeting patients who are telling me that there's a really high chance that they could lose their housing just within the next week. This is an ongoing rolling crisis, and winter is now here. That's unlivable, and it's been crazy to see how housing has not been talked about by the city council and the mayor at all. The mayor sent a survey out to the community. The mayor asked the people what they wanted. The people said that they wanted housing. And do we see any housing in any of the money that's been sent out? No. This cannot keep going on. We are the people. This is a democracy. This is why democracy thrives. It's when we come together and we show our collective will. As a doctor, people oftentimes try to kind of talk about people who are unhoused as though it could have been their fault. And so what do we really need to be doing to help them out? But that's just not the case. These are all myths and lies. These are our people. These are our brothers and sisters. We need to care for them because this could happen to us, and we all have to stand together. I'm going to pass it on to Brandy.
So I'm actually coming back into the city. I was born and raised here. And it's disheartening to see what the city has become. To see so much homelessness, and not just homelessness, but lack of empathy for these homeless human beings. We see it on a day-to-day basis in the healthcare system where they're going to lose their homes, or they have lost their homes and they're living in their cars, or they're popping from motel to motel. When I read the story, I'm kind of reserved, but I'm passionate. So when I read that story about so much money on a skating rink, yes, I understand that the youth need something to do, but we need to get rid of the homelessness first. We need these people to have a warm, safe place to sleep and be able to sleep without stress and not worry about how are they going to get to their doctor's appointment to treat their high blood pressure or their depression, because homelessness is a co-occurring it's a co-occurring disease. Lack of housing, mental health, physical health. How can you take care of your physical health and mental health if you don't have a place to live? For me, I'm very passionate about the community here, being back in Woonsocket and seeing these patients that I have known for years. I only can do what I can do. And whatever I can do, I will do it. And if it's speaking, I will do that. If it's supporting, I will do that. If it's buying a hamburger, I will do that. Whatever I can do to help the people that are struggling in this city, I will do it 100%.
Stay with me. Housing is healthcare. Housing is healthcare. Housing is healthcare. Housing is healthcare.
Thank you both so much. Can I get another round of applause? So next up, I'm happy to introduce my friend Matt Brown, who is a candidate for governor of Rhode Island. Thank you, Alex. Can you guys hear me? Yeah. All right. This here is Woonsocket. This is the spirit. This is the heart. These are the values of Woonsocket. What this government is doing does not represent the values of this city. You all do. When you have been up here today talking about the fact that we've got an emergency in terms of housing and healthcare, that we need to care for our brothers and sisters, that we need to organize, that we can't be taking federal money, millions of dollars in federal money that was supposed to go to the basic needs of the people and spend it on these other things. That's not what Woonsocket is, and it can't be what Woonsocket is. So I came here just to support you all, to stand with you all in solidarity with my running mate, the great Senator Cynthia Mendings, who's right here. And to say that this is the work. We got to do two things. You all need to do two things. We are 100% with you in this work. The first thing we got to do is what you're doing here today with Rebuild Woonsocket. Everybody who's been organizing here, we can't wait till the next election to get people off the street, to get people out there. We cannot wait for that. So this is about organizing right now. The work that you all are doing, that Rebuild Woonsocket is doing, it's organizing right now because it is an emergency. We got to get people off the street. We got to get people health care. We got to solve the problems people are facing right now, and that's through organizing in the city. What you guys are doing, getting loud, getting big, growing the numbers, building pressure, and solving this crisis. But the second thing we got to do, and we got to do it at the same time, we can't have this government. We cannot have the government come back. We got to win elections. Right? They've shown who they are. And they do not represent the values of this city. This group here represents the values of this city. That's right. So we do have to win elections. People like Alex, people like Marlene, people like Charmaine who stand up and run for office. We got to organize. We got to support them. We got to knock doors for them, and we got to get them elected in the next round. So thank you all for all the work you're doing, the organizing work you're doing, the elections work you're doing, and let's get people the housing that they need. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Matt. Get another round of applause. Matt Brown. And our final speaker today is Jessica Jones. She lives and works in this community. She's a frontline worker. Here you are.
Good afternoon. Right. Can you hear me? All right. Good afternoon. Thank you all for coming in support of Housing for All. To those who don't know me, my name is Jessica, a longtime resident of Woonsocket. I not only live here, I work here with our city's housing and secure population. I'll pick that up later. I see firsthand daily the struggles of our residents needing safe, affordable housing. I hear the stories of rough nights sleeping on the ground. I witness the tears of mothers feeling defeated and ashamed because they're on the streets with their children. I speak to the people who come in shivering cold, damp, still able to smile and greet me good morning, although their morning has been anything but good. The smile they flash, trying to hide the pain, the fear, the worry suffered from night after night, calling a sleeping bag comfort, and under the bridge or a pot home. This is all too relatable for many in this city. And although we greatly appreciate the funds that our agencies have received thus far combating this ever-growing issue of housing insecurities, we say respectfully to the mayor and Woonsocket decision makers, it's just not enough. We need more funding from the continued conversation on how we can better spend some of our city's budget to further in affordable housing with sliding based income or lack thereof in income. I'm hopeful we can have a respectful sit down with our mayor to detail just how dire things have become with our housing crisis in Woonsocket for both homeless, low income, and working families. Now, we do understand that everything takes time and a plan, right? But I need to impress upon the powers that be that some time could be running out for some people. The weather is fast approaching winter. And none of us want to think that one of our own city's residents could lose their life sleeping these winter nights under cold bridges or at parks wet on the ground. So please, let the time be now for those conversations for action, and let the plan be to put more funding towards the people and families having safe, affordable housing. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, Jessica. Can I get another round of applause?
thank you all so much for coming. That was our speaker program. So there are three next steps that I want us to establish here today. The first one is that we have basic needs here, and I'm calling on everybody here in their capacity to continue supporting mutual aid work, continue donating warm clothes and food and hand warmers and hygiene products to good local organizations that are trying to fill impossible gaps that our government is leaving in folks' ability to take care of themselves. So that's the first thing. We have to continue supporting that work as we go on. The second thing that I'm asking is for the city to seriously, dig as deep as possible into your hearts. Listen to the community and add housing and health to the budget. Nix this first 14 million and put housing and health first, because those are what the community needs. Those are what the community has demanded. Those are what the folks who are on the front lines here today are saying over and over and over. That is what Woonsocket needs. And finally, and this, depending on what happens with number two, this may be one of the most important, is that if we don't get number two, a week, 2 weeks from now, where are we going to be? That's right. Thank you all for coming.